All right, in transition to college math today, we're going to look at section 8.4. 8.5, the cost of home ownership. We should have read the first couple paragraphs defining mortgages, down payments, points. So we're going to jump right into the first example. Now, I would suggest getting most of this in your notes so that you have it to refer back to. The price of a home is $195,000. The bank requires a 10% down payment and 2 points at the time of closing. The cost of the home is financed with a 30-year fixed rate mortgage at 7.5%. Fine. So we're going to go through and answer all these questions and talk about the cost of homeownership. The required down payment. So that would be 10% of $195,000. So we can really just take 19,500. And that would just be moving that decimal place twice. 1, 2. That's how we do 10%. The amount of the mortgage. So that's going to be what's left after the down payment. So that's going to be $195,000 minus $19,500. I'm going to mortgage $175,500. How much must be paid for the 2 points at closing? And again, those definitions are in that paragraph we just read. And that is 2%, so 0.02 of the amount we're going to mortgage, $175,500. So I think that is $3,510. And that's typically called your closing cost. The monthly payment, let's go ahead and find that. So the first thing we're going to do for that monthly payment is we're going to look at that table on the attached PDF, and that's right here. And we were talking about a 30-year mortgage at 7.5%. So the number we're looking for is 6.99. And that is your monthly payment per $1,000. So let's keep that number 6.99. So that's going to be 6.99 times how many thousands of dollars do we have? Well, we have 175,500. If we divide that by 1,000, that's going to tell us that number is 175.5 times the 6.99. So I believe our monthly bill is going to be $1,227 per month. And again, when we actually buy a house, we're going to have things included like taxes and insurance, and that'll all go right into that number. So that number is always a bit higher. And then finally, E, how much interest are we actually going to pay over 30 years? So that's kind of like the problems we've done before. If we're going for 30 years, which is 30 times 12 months, times $1,227 per month, that's going to tell me how much money I've paid. And that's where these numbers come from. So I'm going to end up writing out checks for $441,720. That's my 30 times 12, so 360 months times 1227. Subtracting off the initial home cost, I'm going to end up paying this much in interest. It always ends up being such a crazy number. All right, then we are not going to do the next part in the notes. We're going to do the first problem from homework, which we're going to do an example just like the one we just did. So I'd like you to kind of plan a little bit more ahead and see if we can do this kind of together, but on your own as well. So $125,000 home, 20% down payment, 3 points. Let's get all those information. and we're going to do a 30-year again, and 7%. So the required down payment, so that would be 0.2, so 20%, times 125,000, and that should be $25,000. Let's look at B, the amount of the mortgage. So that's just 125,000 minus our down payment. We're going to mortgage or borrow $100,000. And then C, how much must be paid for the 3 points? And that was 0.03 times our 100, and that should be $3,000 due at closing. Our monthly payment, and I'll flip back to our chart there. We have a 30-year at 7%. So a 30-year at 7% would be that 6.65 number right there. So that's our 6.65 times how many thousands? And 100,000 divided by 1,000 is 100. So our monthly payment is going to be $665. And then finally for E, how much interest are we going to pay? So if we do 30 years, so 360 months at $665, that is $239,400 minus the house actually cost $100,000. So our total interest is going to be $139,400. So that answers all of them. What's our homework? Let's get started.